Hello folks, welcome back to the video version of the Tone Mob podcast. This week I am talking to Drayton Farley. Drayton is a country / Americana style artist. I love his music, his songwriting, his voice. He is an awesome dude, and turns out a total metalhead, so we get along famously on this episode. I think you're really going to enjoy it. This is a quick reminder that this was an audio show long before it was ever on YouTube. It's been going for almost a decade, so if you like to listen to your interviews rather than watch them, you can go to Spotify, Apple, or wherever you get your podcasts and listen there, or you can do it right here on YouTube. It's here. You're already here. You're already watching. Thank you. I appreciate it. And while you're doing that, if you could hit the like, comment, subscribe. I know everybody asked for that, and I know it gets a little annoying, but it really does help us out a lot. So thank you so much. And thank you to Drayton for taking the time. This dude absolutely rules. If you haven't checked out his music, you should fix that and check out his music after you listen to this interview, of course. All right, let's get into it. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Tone Mob podcast. Is that what this is? A podcast? No, I don't know what it is. The Tone Mob podcast, the show about guitar stuff occasionally, sometimes. I'm your host, Blake Weiland, and with me today I have Drayton Farley. What's going on, dude?
What's up, man? It's good to be here.
Man, I'm excited. I'm excited to have you. I've been following you for, I think when I sent you a message, I said a year, but now that I think about it, I think the first time I caught you was actually at Farewell Fest in Bend.
Yeah.
Which was probably 2-ish years ago now.
Yeah, that was 23. So
yeah.
2 years. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's been a little longer than I thought. And you've been just killing it so far, but I don't know your story. I know your music, but I don't know your story. So I thought it'd be fun to get you on and talk about that. I'm sure you've told that story a few times, but I'm not sure that my audience is going to be familiar.
Yeah, for sure. Where do you want me to start?
The beginning. When did you start getting interested in music and as a kid, I imagine?
Yeah. So I was like, around probably 5th or 6th grade. So how old are you then? Like 10, 11?
So, yeah, something about like 11. Yeah.
Yeah. So my older sister, Amber, got a guitar and she'd had for a while. She got it for her birthday and she'd started kind of learning a little bit about it. Just teaching herself chords and stuff. We had one of those, like the chord posters from Walmart, on the wall. And so, whenever she would go to like a boyfriend's house or go out to a movie with a friend, I would sneak in her room and like take the guitar out from under her bed. And so I would start teaching myself the chords off of the poster on her wall. And eventually I got, I learned enough that I felt like I should tell her that I'd been stealing her guitar and learning it. And when I did, I kind of had learned like a little more than she knew. And so,
there you go.
And she was like, a little older than me. She was like 16, 17. So she was more interested in life than guitar at that point. So she kind of just gave me the guitar. And then from that point on, dude, I like never put it down again. Mm-hmm. I just kept playing it. And I never took any lessons, which I wish I would have. And it's not too late. But I just taught myself, like, just listen to a record and start playing along, or, the Guitar World magazines would have a couple pages of tabs in there. Me and my buddies would share magazines if we had different issues and learn how to play intros and stuff to like classic rock songs,
Mm-hmm.
So that's how I learned. And that the first guitar really was an Esteban classical guitar.
Of course, yes.
An amazing guitar, just
totally
so good,
so great.
And then
great guitars.
And then from that we upgraded to the Alvarez RD10, which was much better. Mm-hmm. And I mean that. I wasn't trying to be funny. It was much better.
Really, yeah,
it really is.
He's definitely better.
And of all the guitars that I used to have, that RD10 is the only one I still have, from those early days. It's hanging up at my mom's house. But man, I started playing guitar and I fell in love with it, and it was all acoustic. And then I got an electric guitar for my birthday one year, and that's when I kind of learned about, like really learned about like rock and heavy music and metal. And that's what I really was interested in. And then come, like 8th grade, I was like fully immersed in like the world of like metalcore and hardcore. And
the good old days. Oh,
yeah,
yes.
dude. And ironically, you know, like that boyfriend that my sister was going to hang out with, he was kind of the guy that introduced me to that world, because he was like really deep into it, and he was in a band, and so like I would ride around with him, and he'd pop CDs in. Like we're listening to like Whitechapel and just like super crazy heavy stuff. And dude, I grew up in like a trailer in like central Alabama, deep south. Like that was Satan, you know, in my house.
It was like foreign to you, yeah.
Well, no, it was like banned, like not allowed, you know. It was like,
wow.
That's the devil's music, you know. So so it made it, I mean, as a kid, it made it that much more interesting, and which I never cared about all that. But I just started playing on, you know, electric, and then eventually my freshman year of high school, I joined a band, like a heavy band out of Birmingham called Traits, and I played guitar in that band. All those guys were already graduated high school, but they for some reason picked the freshman kid to play guitar for them and their band. But it was
fun.
Saw something. Yeah, and so like we played some shows. We never like did much, you know. At the time I felt like we were doing a lot, but now these days, after, you know, some years go by, I look back and I'm like, dude, we played like 15 shows, and they were all in the state of Alabama, you know. It's like we weren't doing anything at all, you know. But that was kind of my start. And then yeah, I thought I was just going to be, and I still am, still very much into the heavy stuff. And but then soon after that is when I had a friend really, and all those years, you know, like I kind of put the acoustic down and just played the electric. I mean, I had like a LTD C1000 Deluxe, like with the EMGs, you know, like I was playing breakdowns, dude. I wasn't trying to write songs, you know.
A man after my own heart.
Yeah. And so, but I had a friend kind of, I guess, introduced me to Jason Isbell's music, and when Southeastern came out, so 2013, I guess this would have been like kind of the beginning of like our junior year, I guess, of high school. I graduated in 2014, so sometime junior year, I was introduced to Jason Isbell's music via Southeastern right after it came out, and it didn't click with me at all. You know, I'd never listened to anything like that. And by like that, I mean like, you know, like country music or rock music that wasn't just like over the top layered, like produced in a studio somewhere that was on the top 40 hits on the radio on FM, you know? So like, that was my first kind of taste. I was very familiar with like the underground world of metal. Like I knew all those bands, you know, but like, I didn't realize there was an underground world of, you know, like country or alt country or whatever the hell you want to call it, you know? And, so after a few listens to that record, I kind of, you know, still didn't quite understand what I was listening to and didn't appreciate it really at that time. And then Jason came through Birmingham. They played a show at Iron City, and me and my buddy went to that show. It's like sold out. Sturgill Simpson was the opener. And
oh wow.
Yeah, dude.
Wow.
Yeah. So like and I think like this was like one of the, I could be wrong, and I don't know. I hope no one that matters about this topic hears it and corrects me, but I'm pretty sure like that show, like Iron City in Birmingham, which is like, I think like an 800, 900 cap room, you know?
Wow.
Like that was one of like the turning point, I guess, for that band. And like, that was when they started selling things out, you know, left and right. And then right before they, you know, pretty much graduated into that next tier of, you know, band. So I got to see all that kind of, and it was seeing them live that really made it all click for me, like what they're doing. And that's when I was able to go back to that record, really hear it this time. And then that's when I really heard like the songwriting. And specifically, like there's a song on that album called Yvette. And I remember, I don't know why at the time, like I was wanting to buy a hunting rifle, and I really wanted a Weatherby. And like, he literally mentions Weatherby in this song. And so I think, you know, as like a junior in high school, that just clicked with me and made me kind of lock in and listen to the words. And that's, you know, that's when I decided that's what I want to do, like if I can. And then, you know, Sturgill opening that show that night too, introduced me to him.
Yeah.
And from there, like, here comes Tyler Childers, and then now there's John Moreland, and now I'm listening to James McMurtry, and now I just discovered who John Prine is.
Oh,
and,
man.
You know, now a whole lot of things are happening, and this is what I want to do, you know.
That's really interesting. My wife and I were just having this conversation. So I'm a little more musically diverse than she is, but she is very drilled in on the country Americana, you know, thing that's going on. That's like her whole thing and has been for like the last 5 years. She's always been into it, and I've always been into it too.
Right.
But she's really into it.
Yeah.
So, you know,
obsessed with it.
Yeah. So she knows all the stuff. She's always showing me new artists, and she's totally drilled in on it, which is nice because I don't have to be, and I just get to harvest the cream of the crop, at least as far as my tastes go.
Yeah, it's like what the radio used to be. Like they're giving you the good stuff. You know.
Yeah, exactly.
It's been great. Filtered out.
Well, she sends me everything, so I do have to filter a little bit, but
yeah, right.
for my own taste. But you're definitely in there, and it's just interesting to me to hear because I grew up listening to Waylon Jennings, Merle Haggard, 90s country. That was my whole thing. I'm just like a little bit older than you. So it was that was what I grew up listening to. And then the metalcore and all the heavy stuff came as a teenager, similar, but I never really stopped listening to country. So when Southeastern came out, I was pretty much already primed for it. I
was not. I was not at all. I mean, I remember telling my buddy that introduced me. I was like, dude, I don't like this, man. Like I was like, this isn't my cup of tea, you know? Wow. And yeah, but it took, like I said, it took a few listens and then seeing the band live to make it all click for me. But yeah, I wasn't primed at all, man. I was still like heavily into the metal stuff, you know?
So growing up when you said your family was like, you can't listen to that stuff. Not in my house.
Yeah.
What were they listening to? Everybody listens to something typically. What kind of music was around?
Dude, I mean, honestly, like, I don't have a whole lot of memories of what everyone else was listening to. I am the youngest of 5 kids.
Okay.
So I was born in 95. So I can say I'm a 90s kid, but we all know, like, you don't really start retaining until you're 5 or 6, you know? So like technically my earliest memories should be 2000s, but you know, got lucky and have 4 older siblings. So all through my childhood, from like early childhood to late, you know, I was being introduced to like all the music that my brother and my 3 sisters had listened to, which was like Chevelle, you know, Mudvayne, Seether, Green Day, you know, all that stuff. And some of the, some like Ryan Adams, you know, which was strange, I guess, because I'd been listening to Ryan Adams, but I didn't realize how big of a role he really played in, you know, the kind of Americana-ish world, if you want to call it that. But yeah, I mean, that's so my sisters, they were all listening, and they would listen to a lot of like contemporary Christian music, and there was a lot of like top 40 countdown CMT stuff going on around the house, you know.
Sure, of course.
A bunch of Brad Paisley happening, and Tim McGraw, which that's kind of what Mom would listen to in the car when we were riding around. She would have, you know, usually like whatever the 102.5, the Bull. They were playing, you know,
man, everybody has the Bull.
The Bull, yeah. Like, you already. I can say less now because you already know what was coming.
I know.
Yep. And then my dad really like. He listened to a lot of just like Journey, Pink Floyd kind of stuff, Guns N' Roses, and so I was kind of introduced to that by him. And that was pretty much all that I was around, like for my whole, you know, early life. And then I think that's why the metal music really struck me the way it did, because it was so like vastly different and new, you know? And I was like, holy, like this is insane, you know? Yeah. But I did get lucky, man. There was a church called Interchange, and every Friday night they would have like 5 or 6 metal bands play a show. And I mean like metal, like death metal to metalcore to hardcore to like whatever. And but it was called The Fish. And like one of the things the bands had to do before they could be allowed to play at this church on Friday nights was like they'd have to submit their lyrics. So their lyrics like basically couldn't be satanic or like cuss a lot, or have a negative message. Like it had to at least be positive messages and or like relating to like Christianity or, in a positive way. Which all of that seemed to just go right out the window whenever everyone jumped in the mosh pit. So it doesn't matter. And the truth is like these bands were like, singing positive messages, but that was like, that allowed me as a kid to like tell my parents like, hey, it's their church. Like this isn't weird. Like that no one's drinking. There is no alcohol. Like, so they were cool with me like going to all these like metal shows like every Friday. You pay $5 and you see like 6 bands, and so
nice.
And we'll do it every Friday all year, So it's like
that's awesome.
Let's go, yeah. So that's kind of how that fostered like something in me, I guess, and really is why I ultimately became, I think, a musician. Was that music, like and but it wasn't hard to like start. When I kind of got away from that as far as what I like to do and started playing acoustic guitar and writing songs and singing, I've always like, me and all my siblings sing for some reason. Like I grew up around them, walking around the house singing all the time. So I just started singing. And so I think somehow I just naturally like picked this songwriter acoustic thing up very quick. Like it didn't feel hard at all. And I'd been writing lyrics like, while I was in the metal band, like I would write lyrics but they were much different. And they were, it was not even close to, I wouldn't even call it, I mean, it is, but the two things, they're apples and oranges. Like you just, the songwriting style of a metalcore band versus, a folk singer-songwriter are vastly different.
You're thinking about completely different things too. You're like, oh, I want, we got a breakdown coming. Like,
I wish you'd a lot of time. And I'm like a huge like hip hop fan now, and dude, like there's just some you can say in hip hop or metal that you could never do it. You could never put that in like the kind of music that I make, which sucks because like, but you could maybe use the things that I'm saying in those other genres. But you know what I mean? It's just. It's kind of, I might just switch to like metal.
You think that, but then I was looking at my my most listened to last year, and if you had put a gun to my head and made me guess, I would have said probably Knocked Loose. But it wasn't. It was Amigo the Devil.
Oh,
and
nice.
So if that's a little bit of a counterpoint to what you're saying, I think.
Do you use Spotify?
Apple Music, but they started doing Spotify-like things.
Yeah, I noticed.
Right.
I was trying to see, my top songs. I was surprised. Let's see. Yeah, my top 5 was First Person Shooter by Drake and J. Cole.
Okay.
My second top song was Middle Child by J. Cole. Third was No Role Models by J. Cole. 4 was A Bar Song by Shabuzi. 5 was Speyside by Bon Iver. 6 was Jacksonville Skyline by Whiskey Town. And then 7 was Not Like Us by Kendrick Lamar.
Man, that song's so good. I know it's supposed to be a diss track and like all that,
it's just a good song.
It's so good.
Dude, have you listened to Kendrick's new record?
No, I haven't.
GNX? My God, dude. The dude is just absolutely and who the hell am I? I'm some white kid from Central Alabama. I know nothing about any of this. But
he's so good though.
But dude, like that, man. Kendrick is the king of this whole thing.
Yeah.
He's incredible.
Like I'm not that into that scene. I do listen to more hip hop than people would probably think. But man, I just remember when that track dropped, I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't paying any attention to the beef.
I was 100% invested in the beef.
Were you? I didn't even know it was going on until like 3/4 of the way through.
Dude, I was texting all my friends that cared. I was like, dude, did you see? I felt like a kid. I was like, why do I care? I was literally on tour, man. Like, I don't know what I'm doing right now. Like,
no, well, you're having fun. If they're going to do it and they're going to put it out there, you might as well. It doesn't hurt you,
Yeah, like Drake's security guard got shot apparently. And I was like, oh, God. Like,
really?
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know it went that far.
Well, at his house, like the security guy that mans the gate to his mansion or whatever. Yeah, there was like a drive-by like during the midst of all that, and that dude got shot.
And then you have to wonder too, as crazy as people are, was that related? You know what I mean? It's like,
yeah, I think that they came out and said like it wasn't, but still, you know, who knows?
Me putting my suspicious hat on, I'm like, it could have just been some lunatic, because that happens too.
Obviously, yeah, that happens a lot these days. But at least we know about it more now.
Well, yeah, I think that's the reality. Is we just know about, everyone talks about how horrible everything is, and I understand why. I think we just know about it more.
Yeah, I think so too, man. I mean, I'm sure that with technology and stuff, you know, getting better through the years, like things probably increased a little bit, population increased. So like, sure, those things increased, you know, but I think the reality too is that it's probably been pretty balanced the whole time. We just all have a direct, like, mainline IV of news straight to our brain 24/7, you know?
Well, and even if you didn't have social media, right? If it was, I'm just thinking about when group messaging started happening in mass.
Yeah.
How fast information can travel.
Oh, yeah.
Even in small communities, it's like, oh, what was that bang over there? I don't know. Text the neighborhood. I don't know.
Yeah.
What's going on?
Yeah, in 5 minutes, like, Roger's like, blew up a can of gas on accident, you know? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Damn. Yeah.
Which is like probably normal for you, and it's kind of normal for me, but some other people may not be used to things blowing up around them.
Yeah, no. Where are you from?
So I'm from Portland, Oregon.
Okay.
But what a lot of people don't understand about Oregon is they think of Portland and they think of, you know, baristas with nose rings and all that stuff. And that does exist. That's definitely a thing. It's a stereotype for a reason. But you get 20 minutes outside of Portland, maybe stretch that out to 30 to 40. You're borderline in Texas.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, I've toured a lot now, especially in the last few years, and it's like, that's pretty much around the globe, like, or at least around the U.S. facts, you know? It's like, dude, just get any more than 50,000 people in a city, and like, you're going to get everybody.
Yeah.
You're going to have everything, you know, get out of that city 20 miles and you're going to be back into like what you could call the countryside. Like, you know, it's everywhere, man. There's no difference. It's pretty weird. I remember my dad like started touring with us, and we were, and he's like pretty well spent. He used to travel for work doing granite, like going to like major cities, working on buildings and stuff. But like, I don't know. We were somewhere in like this, I can't remember where we were, but my dad was with me. We're on tour, and this like chick walked by, like full goth, like leather black skirt, like fishnets, huge platform boots, you know, had like a blue hair, like probably 30 different piercings in her face. And my dad was like, it's kind of cool. I was like, see, like all people need to do is get out more, man. Like, you know, a lot of people from where I'm from would see someone like that and be like, you know, have nothing but bad to say about that person. But like, probably might be the coolest person here, actually.
Yeah, if you knew. Yeah, you would know.
If you took a moment to, you know, meet them.
I mean, it's not exclusively true, but I don't know. Yeah, most of the people I meet or most of the people I really enjoy are weird to some degree. So, you know,
you have to be, man. Like,
you have to.
The people that aren't weird are the boring people. You know? Yeah,
nobody wants to hang out with boring people.
No, dude. Well, they're the people that are, you know, they're a little closed-minded. So, which is not the room I want to hang out in.
No,
you know. So, it's interesting too, man. Like how, I don't know how far this podcast gets off track, or if there's even a track. It
can go anywhere. That's the beauty of it. That's what's awesome.
Like, dude, the truest saying that's ever been said was like, you are the company you keep. You know, like, man, the minute that you start surrounding yourself with like people that are thinking outside of a box, or like have a wider scope on the world, you know, and beliefs, like the same minute, like everything starts to change. I'm from like this tiny little town that like everyone pretty well thinks the same, looks the same, talks the same.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they all do this. It's like very hive mentality kind of thing. And then, which ultimately made me grow up in that, you know. So when I started finally like getting out, traveling a lot, like it was so nice to like have like all these kind of built-in ways of thinking just shatter, and then all of a sudden like the world opens up to you, or you open up to the world, actually, is what's happening. But
was it difficult growing up in an environment like that and having obviously some internal feelings that didn't match up with those thought processes?
Like in the middle of it, like while growing up in it?
Yeah, well, you're growing up and going like, man, I don't really want to do the same things that all these people are doing.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, for sure. No, it was, and I'm not like knocking like my family or how I grew up or any of that. It's just
it's not. It's bad. It's just like it's not
just
for
something
me.
something that and a lot of it now. Like at the time, I mean, we were talking about a teenager, so I was actively trying to rail against it. You know,
Sure,
and so,
sure, yeah.
Like my intention here is to destroy this thing. You know, but now there's a lot of parts of it where I'm like I yearn for. You know,
Mhm.
like I don't really live in a small town anymore. And like, I wish I did. Like, I live in a subdivision, dude. Like, my neighbors are right here. I hate it. Like, I really do. Like, we're going to buy a house hopefully this year sometime. But, like, that's what we're doing right now is like, we've been looking like, man, we've been looking at land in Kentucky, dude, like, which is so cheap. It's so insane. My wife showed me a house last night. It's 5 bedrooms, 3 baths, and it's on like 100 acres. For like $250,000.
Oh, it hurts my West Coast heart. That sounds amazing.
I know. I'm like the house that I like, the neighborhood we live in right now. Like these houses are like selling for $400,000, and it's not a 5 bedroom. It's not even close to 100 acres. You know, it's not even a whole acre. It's like, what are we doing? Like, so we should get out of here. But no, I think the earliest thing that I remember, like kind of going against the grain a little bit with like where I'm from is like skinny jeans, dude. Skinny jeans were like a big thing. Very, very much what everyone was wearing, like that was in the heavy music, you know? And it's so all of a sudden, you know, it's like skinny jeans and Toms shoes. And like, I'll never forget, dude. Like I started wearing Toms to school, and I remember this one guy walking into school one morning, like made fun of me and was like, dude, he was like, those are girl shoes, you know? Started making fun of me for my shoes, and which I never was like bullied or picked on, you know, but I've always been like a little bit bigger of a guy, so I guess maybe that helped being a kid. But no, this guy was absolutely like roasting my ass. Like he was making fun of me for these shoes I'm wearing, and I basically told him to like fuck off or whatever I said. I was like, I don't care, you know. And then like, you know, 2 years later, like every Toms were the shoe. It was like that was the cool. And like same dude that was making fun of me, he ended up with like more pairs of Toms than I had, you know. So I'm like, but I don't know. That was probably like my first memory of like going against a certain way of life or being a certain way. But people look at you like you're a little weird, you know. Like most of the dudes are wearing like boots, driving trucks, and wearing camouflage jackets to school, you know, and I'm like wearing skinny jeans and like a Whitechapel hoodie, and I'm wearing like ripped up Toms, and my hair is long, and but I mean, I like that, you know.
Yeah,
I'm glad that I don't look like everybody else right now. So that helped a lot. Now it's weirdly like even talking about like just the way you dress and stuff, man. Like I was talking to some of the guys in my band on last year's tour, and I was like, dude, I'm kind of like I feel like in the little niche world that we exist in, like as artists, I was like, I feel like everyone's dressing the same. You know, I'm like, everyone's got a pearl snap denim on now and like Takova's boots. I was like, I'm kind of over that, dude. Like I'm about to just like, dude, I'm just gonna wear hoodies now on stage, and I'll wear some Adidas running shoes and a hoodie. Like who the fuck am I trying to be? Like, you know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of, yeah.
It's an interesting thing though that you're right. Like every scene though does that. Whether you're talking about, you know, the niche metal world or you know, the street punks all start looking the same. The folk punks all start wearing kilts, and like every scene starts to converge on itself. And then eventually there's somebody that's like, no, I don't want to do that. I want to do this. And then maybe that becomes the new thing. And then that starts the whole process over again. So maybe in 5 years, we'll see everybody, wearing Whitechapel hoodies and Adidas on stage.
Yeah.
These shows. Who knows?
I think that, like, just as humans, man, like, we find our communities. And then once we have a community or feel like we're a part of a community, then we begin to do that hive mentality thing,
Mm-hmm.
But I think it's also important, like, to be a creative person, or if you are a creative person, I think it's important to, like, that's fine, you can do that, but, like, you can also forget, like, the individual in that process,
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's why I even mentioned that, like, last year was, like, I realized, like, we all just look the same, dude. I'm like, what, why am I dressing like everybody all of a sudden? Maybe it wasn't on purpose, but, like, I did look up and realize, like, the last 4 bands that walked on stage were wearing the same things, So I'm like, hey, like, maybe we should get back to just being individual people and original ideas,
Well, I think it happens because you see somebody do it and you're like, that looks cool. I like that. And then you're like, oh, well, I want to do it.
Yeah, I mean, 100%.
Or, in this case, it's like, oh, people are looking back at pictures of their grandpa being like, that guy looks cool. I want to look like him,
Dude, I'll tell you, man, that is some crazy shit. Like, looking at old pictures of just, like, the way people used to dress.
Mm-hmm.
My God, man, like, what happened to us? Like, look at, like, dude, like, I'm wearing, like, a graphic camouflage hoodie right now. You've got, like, a graphic baseball tee thing on.
Mm-hmm.
Like, dudes used to, like, be in straight up, like, tweed suits. Like,
I can't do it.
No matter the circumstance, like, going to feed the horses, man, but he's wearing, like, a whole get up,
Yeah, and I don't think that you have to just, like, necessarily just drill into comfort all the time, otherwise you become sweatpants dude, and that's not me. I'm not gonna do that.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I know those dudes were sweaty.
Oh yeah,
they're
also probably just for the lack of anything else. Like, that's probably just what that was just the clothes that people made.
That's true. T-shirts weren't really a thing.
Yeah, they weren't, I guess, but it's still cool though, man. Like, if you look at like New York City in, like, the early 1900s, dude, everyone looked like a baller. Like, everyone looked the same. Like, I don't know how like, people walked into a large crowd and, like, like, if a woman, like, got separated from her husband in a
good luck
early night, like, she'd have to, like, turn.
He's in the gray hat.
Yeah, he's in the straw fedora, like, with the like well, they all are,
I guess it's not. I mean, that's exactly what we're talking about, though, right? Now it'd be like, oh yeah, I lost my husband. He's in the black T-shirt. Okay.
Yeah, he's in the cargo shorts. I don't know.
The New Balance shoes. There he is.
Yeah.
Well, sliding back to the
let's slide back. I don't know
some
where
music.
I'm bad at conversations, man. I'll take us into weird territory.
I disagree. Those are the best things to do, is to go off track. It's fun. But going back to something, this is just something specific I wanted to talk about. So Southeastern ended up being a turning point, though you didn't really know it at the time, right? How crazy was it for you the years later to be getting shout outs from Jason, here and there? As I think that was a lot of how people found you, probably on the internet anyway.
Yeah, no, it was very weird. Very cool, very weird. I mean, it's no secret, and I've never lied about it. It's obvious if you listen to my music. Like, dude's a huge inspiration, and
of course.
One, I just love the music. Two, like, when I fell in love with the music, I had no idea who he was or where he's from, but the dude grew up like 2 hours north of me,
Mm-hmm.
And, like, he also grew up in a little town in Alabama in a single wide trailer. Like, there was just a lot in common there. And so it was fascinating to me. And so absolutely, like, huge inspiration. Yeah, I think the first thing that ever kind of happened was he started following me on Instagram one night.
Mm-hmm.
And like, so my wife's logged into my Instagram too. And she, like, kind of helps me call messages and has for years now. Like, especially, like, when I I had a few songs kind of like blow up on like TikTok and Instagram, like back in 2021. And I was still working a full-time job, and dude, I was getting hundreds of messages a day, and a lot of them were like people like wanting to pay me $2,000 to come play at their house, you know? So
Right.
I was like, and I have to work. I worked in a Mercedes-Benz in a factory building cars. And so like there was like a strict no phone policy. So while I'm at work, like she would like delete or move like the work messages over to like a, you know, flag them so that I could go back and look at all of them. So, so she's always like been a part of like keeping up with messages and like that on social media for me. So one day I'm like in the living room and she just like walked in, and she was crying, which is funny, and she'll probably be mad if she finds out I said she was crying. But she like walked into the living room. I'm like watching TV or something. She like hands me her phone, and it was like, Jason Isbell started following you 30 seconds ago or whatever it said. And I was like, holy, like that's weird. That's real weird, you know. But it was cool. It was exciting. And it was mostly not because like, oh my God, Jason Isbell's following me. You know, it wasn't that. It was like holy, whatever I'm doing is being validated and recognized by people that I give a shit about what they think. You know what I mean? And so that was cool. Yeah, that definitely gave me like a more confidence, I think, in what I was doing, and it kind of told me like whatever you're doing or trying to do, like you're achieving it. You know, it's happening. And so that was cool, man.
Well, especially with what you're doing, you know, you're putting a lot of yourself out there in you know, a more personal way, and you're trying to make art that you want to resonate with people. I have a few of those like pinch me moments myself, but I'm always like scratching my head a little bit. I'm like, I'm out here in the shed talking about, do you like dirt pedals? You know, like,
you like this one?
I'm like, what? I just don't feel like, you know, I mean, I've gotten to have some really meaningful and great conversations that have gotten published here, but sometimes I try to zoom out. I'm like, I'm in a shed in my backyard, and I'm just so nerdy about all this stuff that I can't help but try to make this into a career. Yeah. And yet, similar feeling. I'm like, I guess some of these people whose work I respect think that that's interesting, which I guess I'll keep doing it.
Yeah, exactly, dude. And that's what it is. I mean, I struggle with it like horribly, dude. Like it's imposter syndrome. It's like, why am I here right now? Why am I in this room? And maybe that's a good thing. It probably is, because it keeps you a fan, you know? And that's kind of what makes all of this exciting in the first place. But, dude, it's huge. It's huge for me. But it can rob you. It can rob you of like enjoying moments or like taking things in. You know, a lot of times I'm not there in the moment, you know, with whatever I'm doing, especially like the cool ones, like the really crazy ones, like that you never could have dreamed up, you know, like my last record, 20 on High, I cut that record with the 400 unit. Oh, man. You know, basically. That's so cool. I mean, well, I had everyone except for I had Peter Levins play on keys, and Kristen Weber played fiddle. So, but everyone else was 400 unit guys, you know. So that was like kind of like the whole time I'm in the studio trying to make this record, I'm just like, what am I doing here, and why are these guys a part of this? You know, which ultimately kind of took me out of the room a little bit. Took me out of a room I didn't necessarily want to be taken out of, because like this is important for me to be in the room right now. You know what I mean? Right. And I wasn't starstruck, and that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like it's just weird. It's imposter syndrome. It's
I think having a certain level of it is good. It's always uncomfortable, but I do think it's good. I think when you start feeling like I'm the man and I should be, you know,
that's a problem.
That's a problem.
And I can wholeheartedly say it. I've never really felt that way. The only time ever is like that I've even had a glimpse of that feeling is maybe like whenever I try to do self-work and it's like a headline show. And I've been intentionally trying to like hype myself up and be like, no, dude, like lock in, like this is your thing. Do it. Like go do the best job you can do and like own it. You know, then I'll have to but that kind of feeling of like I'm the man, that doesn't come naturally for me. Like that's something I've got to like force into my headspace, and only like, you know, in certain moments, you know, like if it's a headline show and I've been kind of down and out for whatever reason, it helps to lock in that way sometimes. But mostly, dude, I'm just like, I don't know why I'm here. Why did y'all call me? Like, and then it makes you kind of question like how good you are at what it is you're doing, because you're like, I'll personally walk around, I'm like, dude, this isn't great, you know. But then you end up in some rooms where it's like, well, it must be decent, or I couldn't be here right now, you know.
It's one of those. It's a weird circular logic, right? Because you're going, well, I don't think this is that good, but I really like what that person does, and I really like what that person does, and I really like what that person does, and they all like it, so maybe it's okay.
Yeah, it's like maybe I don't suck. I don't know.
Yeah,
it's weird, man. But
you don't suck, by the way. So,
well, I mean,
I wouldn't have invited you on the show if I thought you sucked.
All of us that get those feelings know that we don't suck. Like you know, it's weird to. I don't know. It's weird to find yourself in some places sometimes. And like you said, like I know you've had conversations with people that you probably never imagined you'd be having a conversation with. And it's like
all the time.
It's like, how? And why the fuck is this person talking to me right now? You know? So it's
it's become the best thing because, I mean, this is a great example, actually. I would have had no other reason to message you. It's, you know, like, I'm sure you get tons of messages like, hey, dude, I love your music. And that's great. And I know everybody likes that validation, and that's really nice to hear. And the second that stuff stops coming in is the concerning moment, right?
Yeah, dude, which is ironic. Yeah.
But for me, I'm like, I've thought this scenario through a few times in different contexts, but if I just messaged you or anybody and said, hey, I would really like to sit down with you on the phone for an hour. I'm random guy. You'd be like, well, probably not the best use of my time. But then I'm like, how about we sit down on the computer for an hour and we'll record it and we'll publish it for thousands of people to listen to. Okay. All of a sudden, that's not weird.
Yeah, all of a sudden, that's less weird somehow. Yeah,
yeah, but it's like this is a strange thing that we've just gotten used to, and I'm happy. I have a job because of it, but it is a little bit weird when you break it down to the nuts and bolts.
Yeah, it can get weird for sure. I was excited though, honestly, when you messaged me asking me, because I'd been thinking like I haven't done a lot of podcasts in the last year or so, and I've been kind of like, you know, wanting to do some, and but it's also like you said, it's like, who are you going to do it with, you know?
Sure.
And I'm not like reaching out to podcasts, be like, hey, can I be on your show? Like that's weird too. But I feel like those things have to happen the other way. The podcast needs to reach out to you. You don't reach out to the podcast.
It goes both ways. You know, most of the reach outs come from people whose job it is to reach out. So
yeah, that's true.
PR people or whatever.
Right.
So that does happen, but I do a lot of reaching out myself, and a lot of, you know, there's a lot of crickets sometimes, and that's fine. I've gotten used to it.
Oh yeah, man.
It is what it is. And not everybody's comfortable. That's totally understandable too. I don't take it personally.
Yeah. I mean, me, like whenever it's time to do a podcast, I'm like, I don't know what I'm about to say. And I know me too. Like if I start talking, like it just gets off into me wearing skinny jeans when I was 15 or whatever. I'm like, how the did we start talking about that? I thought you were just gonna hit me straight up with like, you know, like what are your favorite acoustic pedals or something, and then now I'm talking about wearing Toms and getting bullied.
You want to hear, like, I use this example all the time, but one of the best episodes of this show is probably 20. I think it was right during the thick of everything, probably during 2020. Yvette Young came on for, I think, the second time, and she challenged me. She said, I want to do the longest podcast you've ever done.
Oh, wow. And
I was like, game on.
Yeah.
This is...
Say less.
You don't know what you just said. Yeah, here we go. I will admit, I got her to tap. I wasn't...
Nice.
I wasn't done yet, but I could tell she was.
Yeah.
But she got into the territory of... She was talking about how she physically reached out and touched her sleep paralysis demon.
Oh wow.
That's how far we got down the crazy train. Like
Dude.
It was an insane conversation. It was so good.
Have you ever had that happen?
No,
I haven't either.
It's a weird thing because they say the more you talk about it and the more you're aware of it, the more likely it is to happen to you.
I can see that.
But I've never, I mean, I sleep pretty good.
I don't. Yeah. I mean, I've definitely had a few memorable moments of sleep paralysis, like 100%, but I've never had like a sleep paralysis demon.
You never saw the man or whatever?
No, I've 100% woken up in hotel rooms before and like couldn't move.
Whoa.
Which is weird.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, it's very weird. But I've never had like some little red guy jump on top of me or anything like that.
Typically, my understanding is like that it literally looks like a black shadow guy coming. And it's weird because so many people say the same thing. And they kind of like peek around the door.
Right.
And it's like, and you can't move and you can't do anything. And they start coming up to you. And it's like, I don't want that. No.
Nobody wants that, dude.
No, but she did, though. She like... Well, I don't know if want is the right word, but she like became interested in it, and she's the only person I know. She like physically was able to break the paralysis and reached out and touched it.
Yeah, that's wild.
Yeah, it's one of the craziest stories.
Did she like feel it? Like she could physically feel it?
It seemed like it. Yeah, it's and then obviously she wasn't like fully in a normal state. So what does feeling mean?
What does any of that mean?
Yeah, it was
probably all just in the head, but maybe not. I don't know.
That was on the Patreon section, and the patrons of the show were like, "You have to publish this publicly."
Yeah, right.
So I was like, all right,
this story has to be told.
Yeah. So all I had to say is the skinny jeans. That's just scratching the surface. We can go a lot weirder
skinny
than
jeans have nothing on a whole demon on top of whole demon crawling on you in the middle of the night.
But in the spirit of the show, you obviously talked about some of the early guitars, and you strike me as a little bit of a gearhead. What's the rig journey been like? Now you're playing a lot of acoustic, of course. But
yeah, I only play acoustic, honestly. Dude, it's all kind of come through. I don't know. I mean, at first, because of that RD10 Alvarez, like I was just like, these are pretty nice, And my mom used to take me to guitar stores when I was a kid, and I would never even ask for them to open the case. Like the Martins were always behind like a glass case, and I never even asked because I just knew that was absolutely not affordable. And if I pick it up,
boy, yeah,
like somehow mom and dad are gonna have to go to the bank and like try to take a loan out to pay off this guitar.
Yeah, and I'm gonna be mowing lawns the rest of my life.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be screwed, man. So like I never even asked, never really even touched a Martin. So like for the longest time, like Alvarez was my thing. And then and I always I had for years, man, I was just like, dude, if I could like graduate into like a vintage like Yari or Yairi, if you want to say it like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure how you pronounce that, but I know what you're talking about.
I think it's technically Yairi, but it's Yari because I'm a dumb Alabamian. But I finally got a Yari and loved it, and they're great guitars, really. And then I got another Yari, and those are like my two main things. Like when I'd go on tour, I had these Yaris, and I was so stoked to have them, dude. I've went my whole life, wanting them, got them, and thought it was like the coolest in the world. And then I think, I finally realized that like those guitars basically are just like a good college try at trying to make a Martin. I mean, they're basically like, that's what it is, really. Yeah. Not even basically, it's 100% like.
It's a clone.
It's a clone of a Martin, a D28 clone, so it's like, I traded a gun for a Martin D custom, which is like Guitar Center's, which isn't like the D custom sounds fancy, but it's just like the exclusive Guitar Center Dreadnought from Martin.
That's cool.
Well, yeah, they're like $1,000.
One of my favorite guitars was the Guitar Center Gibson Les Paul Faded. It was the exclusive for them. I love that thing.
So I had that Martin and was obsessed with it, and And then somehow, man, like a few years ago, my buddy Gary, who does like PR stuff, we just like randomly became friends. He shot me a DM, and now this dude's, you know, a close friend of mine. But at first, he was just this stranger on the internet who was like, "Hey, man, like, you into Martin guitars at all?" And I was like, "Yeah." Like, who's not, you know? And and so I had a show, I think it was Pittsburgh, maybe. I was on tour with Lucas Nelson, and Gary like hit me up and he was like, "Hey, any chance you could get like me and plus three on the guest list?" He was like, I'm gonna bring 3 of the folks from Martin out to your show tonight." And so I was like, "Yeah, dude, like, you know, of course." And so Gary and Mike and I can't remember who else came, honestly, but they showed up to the show. I played my set, they watched it, and then I went out to like the merch table and met them, and then invited them backstage, and we started talking. And it was like a week later, you know, I connected with them. Like a week later, they were like, "Hey, go to the website and like pick a guitar out, and we'll send 3 different, like, pick the model out that you would like to play, and then we will send 3 copies of that model to our showroom in Nashville, and you can come up and you know, play all 3 of them, and whichever one you like the most, we'll loan it to you for a year, let you play it." And I was like, "That's crazy," you know. So I went up to I chose a D28. They hit me up when they came in. Went to the showroom in Nashville. I live in Birmingham, so Nashville's like 2.5 hours north of me. And so I drove up to Nashville, and there's like 3 brand new D28s sitting there, and I played all 3 of them for an hour or so, and chose the one I liked the most. And then they sent me home with it, and they were like, "Hey, just play it." You know, they're like, "We're gonna loan it to you for a year. Just play the shit out of it." And so for the next year, like, that's the only guitar I touched. Every show I played was with that D28. And then I guess not this past, like, Christmas of like 23, that's when they kind of came back to me and was like, "Hey, we want to like like formally endorse you." And I'm a it's a class called like the Martin Showcase. Class of 24. And so with that, they were like, "Pick any 2 guitars that we have, and they're yours."
Wow,
And
that's amazing.
Yeah, and they were like, "Anything you need otherwise, you know, you need strings, picks, whatever it is, let us know. We'll get it out to you. And if there's any other instruments that you need for the touring year or studio or whatever, just let us know. We'll ship you one out." I was like, "Well," you know. So I'm absolutely just a diehard Martin guy. There's not a chance in hell that I would ever probably. I sold those Yaris. I mean, I'm just Martin now, you know, and not even because of, like, you know, how generous they've been, but just because they're, in my opinion, like the best they make, you know. And so the fact that, like, that's another like imposter syndrome thing. I'm like, why in the why is Martin like doing this, you know? So yeah, now I play my D28. That's like my main guitar. It's a D28. I have a LR Baggs Anthem pickup installed, and it's just rolled all the way to the bridge. It's got the mic, you know, but I don't use that at all. So I have that, and then I have the D28 Modern Deluxe is like my backup guitar, and then I have the 0028 Modern Deluxe, and that's kind of the guitar I play when I'm at home. It hangs down in the hallway in the living room, and that's the guitar I play 99% of the time. And then I have the HD 28 12 string, and that's it. That's all the acoustics I have right now.
Nice.
But those are my main guitars, and all 4 of those have the LR Baggs Anthem pickup installed. But it's what I play. I was using for the last 2 years. My pedal board has just been a tuner with a LR Baggs acoustic reverb pedal, like the really lame wood.
I like it. I like it.
I mean, it's cool. It's a good pedal, but I'd run that into a session DI pedal, and but I just changed that. I took the reverb pedal off and the session DI, and I swapped it for the Fishman tone deck.
Oh yeah, I haven't played those, but I've seen those. Yeah,
they're sweet, and I've only played one show with it so far. I had one rehearsal and one show with that, and me and all the dudes in my band were all immediately like, that sounds way better.
Nice.
It's just, so I'm like, yeah, this is definitely, I still have a lot to tinker with on it, but that's what my pedal board now. I have the what is it, the GLX D16? Sure, it's a wireless.
Oh yeah,
it's the pedal version, so it's like a tuner and wireless, but it's like 16 plus. So the old version didn't have an input jack; it was like strictly wireless.
Okay.
But the newest version has it can be wireless, but there's also an input jack. So like if your wireless died on stage, you can just throw a cable right in, and
that's a good idea.
Yeah, so why was that not on the first one? Who knows?
Seriously.
Because I mean, if your wireless dies and you don't have a crew of guys to hand you another wireless, then you're and now you look stupid on stage. But that's what I have now. So I have that's the tuner pedals, the Shure wireless, and then the Tone Deck Fishman, which is a cool little pedal. I mean, it's got a boost. It's got a chorus, reverb, delay. It's got a compressor, and then it's got like just some super basic, adjustments on it that you can kind of tweak. But it's, I don't know. I mean, it's probably definitely more an effects pedal than it is like a, like a DI or anything like that. But so far it's been cool, and I think it sounds better than the LR Bag Session. And so that's what I've been rolling with.
Cool.
I wish I was like crazy gear head guy. I mean, I have a bunch of gear, but like I'm not like the smartest guy in the room. I have a bunch of cool, and I'm certainly humble enough to tell you that I don't know what all this thing does.
Well, hey, you know what? You got my contact info. We can nerd out about it anytime.
Yeah.
Anytime. I didn't spend any time learning to play. I spent all my time learning what fuzz pedals I liked. So
yeah, that's kind of me, man. That's how I feel. I'm like, damn, dude. Like I skipped a lot of practice time.
Me too.
It's so true, dude. Like, it's a funny meme. Like in the guitar world, at least, like you see it all the time. It's like guitar players when they learn that like more expensive gear doesn't mean that they get better.
That's not my understanding.
It's like,
wait, what?
Yeah. But I mean, I feel, dude, I mean, I don't know. I feel that way, especially in the world of like electrics. Like I've got a couple nice electric guitars. They're too nice for me to confidently like break out.
What are they?
And like, because I'm like, dude, a guy that's as bad as I am shouldn't be playing this guitar. You know what I mean?
What?
I have the Duesenberg Star Player TV Phonic.
Oh, those are great. Yeah.
It's so sick, dude. But again, it's like, dude, I am not worthy of that guitar, and then I have, I just bought a new American Pro 2 Strat, and then I only have 3 electrics. And then I have it's a Telecaster, but it's like, I can't even remember the model. It's so stupid. Like the name, it's like super limited edition deluxe Telecaster. It's a Korean telly that's like $1,000 new, but it's basically a Les Paul. It's 2 humbucker. It's got it comes like factory with like a pearly gates and a 59 humbucker. They're sweet.
Cool.
I mean,
that's cool though.
It's a telly that's not a telly. It's like, it's literally a Les Paul, but it looks like a Telecaster. It's pretty sweet. But yeah, those are my electrics, and I don't, like I said, I barely play them, dude. And I did kind of go for that TV Phonic because, it's hollow body and the pickups are really sweet. And so like you could definitely get away with like, it's certainly a great like rhythm electric guitar. and you can definitely do a lot of like the same you would be doing on an acoustic on that, and it's kind of built, in my opinion, like around that world of rhythm and stuff. So, which is all that I'm going to be doing, really, in my band at least. I mean, I definitely don't walk around telling people I'm a guitarist. I think I'm becoming a songwriter, and I'm definitely probably a better singer than I am songwriter or guitar player. But, I think I'm good enough at all three that I can make it work.
So, you're making it work. You're making it work great, man.
I'm making it work, dude.
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so the guitars, though, like the electric guitars, you say you don't play them very much, but when you do play them, what are you plugging them into?
Dude, I've got a couple Fender amps. I've got a deluxe reverb. I've got a super reverb. And then I just have like one of those cheap ass little Bugera, like 5-watt tube things. They're cool. I had one like years ago, and I sold it, and I didn't realize like how cool that amp actually is. And I found one on like Marketplace like a year and a half ago and bought it.
Nice.
But those are the amps I have.
Super Reverb is one of the best amps ever made. So
yeah, they're great, man.
That's not a bad choice.
No, they're really good amps. And again, dude, I'm like, dude, these are some great gear. Like, where's the player? Where the hell is he at?
If that was a qualification, then I'd be in big trouble. So
yeah, but
don't worry about that.
Yeah, that's just how I feel because I've been around. Like, I used to think I was like pretty decent at guitar, and then you like Jimmy in my band is the guitar player, dude shreds. You get in the room with Sadler Vaden for an hour, and you're
like, come on, man.
You're like, dude, I'm not even touching it.
Leave like, some for the rest of us. Why don't you?
Literally, man. Like, I see those dudes pick a guitar, like especially in the studio, and I'm just like, dude, fuck all y'all, man. Like, all right, well, look, while y'all are figuring that out, I'm gonna go try to start writing another song.
Yeah, I'll be over here doing whatever it is that I do.
yeah. But yeah, that's usually, and I have like those go-to licks. Everybody does, I think.
Oh yeah,
and mine are like it's like these like really lame like blues scales that I just go to immediately, which are cool, and like I've muscle memory. Have played them so long that like if all you got to see me do is pick an electric up and play that for like 30 seconds, you'd be like, this guy's pretty good. But that's like if I pick it up and I play that and then put it back down, then I'll have every person in the room fooled, So that's me.
Me, I just have the drop the low string down. Okay. 0 1 0 0 0 1 0 0 0 0 0 0 1, and then I'm done. That's all I got.
Yeah. Dude, I mean, I'm definitely more confident with like metal, like for sure.
Interesting.
Like I can do like all the cool metal. I can even like sweep pick a little bit, like. But when it comes to like doing some kind of country solo or that, dude, just count me out. I'm not your guy.
Well, that's you got me. I can't sweep pick for nothing. Every time I try, I'm like, "What is this? Stop it! Just go back to the chugs. Just do what you do."
Dude, I'm so good at chugging. It's ridiculous. Like,
that's just you got to embrace the chug more, man. Maybe we could.
I've even done like some, like tremolo type metal before, and Jimmy be like, "Dude, I can't do that."
Hey,
and I'm like, "Dude, well." I don't Like, I don't know that you would want to do that, Jimmy. I really don't think that you want to do that.
Everybody's got their thing, though, right?
That's fine. True.
I mean, I guarantee you, if you make a metal record, I'll be first in line, ready to go.
Dude, I really would love to just like join a metal band as a guitar player. I would love that. I would have so much fun doing that. Like, if I could do my thing and tour, and when I'm not on tour doing my thing, then just be in a metal band and play guitar.
I think that is a totally feasible thing that could happen.
So, like, I don't know. You're into metal? Like,
oh yeah.
All right. So, like, you know who Gideon is?
Mm-hmm.
So, yes. Like, Jake is like my best friend. He's the drummer and the songwriter for Gideon.
Oh man, I love Gideon.
Yeah, dude. And so, I've been like telling Jake for like years. I'm just like, dude, because they only have one guitar player.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they've got Tyler playing guitar, and he's great. He's amazing, and he can do it all. But I'm like, man, look, like I'm sure Tyler would love a break. And like I can book my schedule around Gideon's, and like I can be all second guitarist.
I would just like you guys to tour together.
I mean, yeah, I just don't know what world that would look like. I would love to.
It would be amazing.
Man, I don't know. Like, there's a huge crossover though for like the kind of music I make in metal. I mean, like, we're talking about it right now, but
if you look at the past guests on this podcast, you'll see a lot of overlap.
Dude, it's like I'll wear like a Kubla Khan Texas hoodie every now and then. If I post it, or a Knocked Loose shirt, or Gideon, anytime I post something on my Instagram where I'm wearing something like that, there's always like a dozen comments. People are like, "Holy, like Knocked Loose shirt, what?" You know, I'm like, dude, what are you doing? Like, why do you listen to me and Knocked Loose?
I do.
Like you're not mentally stable. That's why.
That's also yeah. That's also true.
Yeah, like I know all I need to know about someone's mental health whenever they tell me they listen to my music and Gideon. You know? I'm like,
you've learned a lot about me in this little session together.
Yeah, then. I'm like, well, damn, we're the same. You know.
Well, dude, we've cracked that hour mark, and I've got some classic questions that I wrap this podcast up. I ask everybody the same questions, and then we'll slide over to Patreon and see what kind of shenanigans we can get into over there.
Yeah.
But before we do that, I like to give the guests the opportunity to take the floor. You know, you've got a few thousand people's ears right now. You can say whatever you want to say, shout out whatever you want to shout out, say hi to your grandma, or whatever you want to do. Yeah,
cool. Well, hey, y'all. Thanks for letting me be a part of the community. Thanks for letting me do this episode. My name's Drayton Farley. I'm from Central Alabama, singer-songwriter. I guess you could call it country, Americana, alt country, whatever you want to call it. You can find my music wherever you get music, Spotify, Apple, iTunes. There's a couple records you can go chew on. See, January 10th, 25, I'm releasing a cover of Time by Pink Floyd, acoustic.
I'm so excited about this.
And on the 31st, I'm releasing my first live record, recorded in Germany last year. And then I have a brand new record that I haven't even announced yet that I will be releasing this year. It's a full band records. My buddy Sadler Vaden of the 400 unit produced this one too. Yeah, so thanks for listening to me ramble, but go find the music. Go check it out. I hope you like it.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, first question. What is your favorite Boss pedal?
Probably the tuner.
Most popular answer. You're gonna go stick with the tuner? You're not gonna expand? You're gonna go for the tuner?
I don't know. What is it? Metal Zone? That's pretty cool.
I mean, that's the other most popular answer.
Well,
I love it.
Yeah.
No, I think there was a listener that was cataloging all of the answers to this, and I think maybe he got bored because
they were the same answers.
The TU2 and the Metal Zone were top contenders for sure.
Metal Zone's pretty cool, man.
Yeah, it's a good time. You just gotta know how to use
it was the first pedal that I remember plugging into a Guitar Center when I was a kid and being like, oh, that's how they make it sound like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh, that's the answer.
Yeah, that's the thing.
Mm-hmm. All right, final question. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Oh, dude, my favorite pizza is I've never had it anywhere else. There's like a local joint to us. It's called All Original. And it is Alfredo, like spinach, Alfredo bacon pizza.
Oh.
That's it, man. It's just like cheese, Alfredo sauce, spinach, and bacon. It's amazing.
I can get down on that.
Best pizza. I'm not a picky eater, so I do like the ham and pineapple, like all that. You're not going to hand me a pizza that I'm not going to eat. But my favorite pizza is the spinach Alfredo bacon. Absolutely.
All right. I like that. That's a bit of a unique answer. I don't think I've heard that one, but that sounds great.
Yeah,
I would totally get on that.
It's the best thing.
All right, Drayton, thank you so much for hanging out. I really appreciate you taking the time. We'll see what kind of nonsense we can stir up over on Patreon.
Yeah, man.
All right. For Drayton, this is Blake, and as always, folks, good luck and good tones.
All right, folks, there's another episode in the can. If you enjoyed that, please hit the like button, comment, all that good stuff. Please share this with a friend. That
helps immensely. If you could share this with somebody you think would enjoy it, that would mean the world to me. It would really help out a lot. And don't forget to check out Drayton's music wherever you listen at. Spotify, Apple, wherever you're doing it, go stream him up, check out his music. It's really, really good. And as you heard, he's a great dude. We also had a great chat on Patreon, so if you want to support the show and get extra bonus episodes, that is a way you can do that. All right, folks, thank you very much. I'll talk to you on the internet very soon.